Bam.
Yo, what is up, everybody? My name is Ricardo Mendez. This is our podcast that we do whenever I want to do it. It's called Release the Bats. This is my guest today, Jesse, singer for DayEater. I forgot his last name.
My name is Jesse Lee, best one-handed guitar player in Texas. If you know another one-handed guitar player, I challenge them. Crossroads style, dude. I'll be Ralph Macchio and Steve Vai.
Ralph Macchio's the only person that got laid on that movie, by the way.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, he deserved it.
He had it coming, I guess. I don't know.
Did you see the way he played at the end there? Neo-classical will always win.
Well, he's pretty much, you won the devil, dude.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much the best forever. That's one of the greatest movies when I was a kid. I love that movie.
I really liked it.
Speaking of great music and good guitar playing, what are we listening to now?
This is a song called Plastic Rat by a local Austin band that I so happen to play one-handed guitar in called DayEater. Recorded at the very own Bubble Studios.
Ooh, the Bubble. So you worked with Frenchie?
I did for a little while. What
Cheers,
a fun guy.
Cheers to Frenchie, even though he doesn't drink.
I'll cheers to that. Thanks, French.
All right. I'm digging it, man. Let's go ahead and crank it a little bit.
It's what three dudes jamming in a room is like.
I feel like I want to play guitar to this. Is this in standard?
It's we do all our music in E flat.
E flat?
Yeah, we're down a half step all the time.
I have an entire record in E flat. I didn't even know.
Yeah, that's just I don't know. That's how it worked out.
What's this song about?
You know, man, I just wanted to try to write like. It started with the riff, and then I guess somebody's asked me this before, and I guess it's just like about waking up. You're stuck living in the machine. You give yourself to the sky. Not this guy, but the sky.
This guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, I think it's just like one of those, I had an urge to where I hadn't written a song in a while. I had to put something out. And, the 9 to 5 was on the mind.
I know that urge. Big time.
It feels good, man. It feels good. There's not a lot of times where you can get it out. But,
yeah.
Last couple times I've been pretty successful.
Shit.
With getting the song out, I mean.
Hold on. Those drums sound fucking great.
So that's Landry Jackson on drums. He's playing from a C, I think there's D drums, but it's like a acrylic kit.
Oh, plastic. Oh, like a plastic acrylic. It's see-through.
Yeah.
See-through
It's
kit.
all see-through.
Yeah.
His bass drum is huge, bottom-sized.
24?
Yeah. It's a biggie. I forget what it is. I'm like, is it a 27, 26 or something? I don't know what it is.
I've seen a 26 before. That's over the top.
Takes a lot of room in the van.
24. He has like a marching drum. I saw a band in San Jose, California one time. Well, they're from San Francisco. They were called Hickey. And the drummer, Aesop, he had a kick drum that was the size of it was an actual marching drum. He just fashioned it into a kick drum.
Yeah.
That was really good, man. I'm digging that. I'm digging that music, bro.
Thank you. Became a fan of the fuzz guitar.
Very, very cool.
Never looked back.
Yeah, like I was saying, welcome to Release the Bats podcast under Trip Crystals Media, which is my channel here on YouTube. Feel free to subscribe. If you don't, just listen and chill and whatever. We mainly try to stay focused on local music, entrepreneurs, artists, typically. Every once in a while we'll talk, as in every conversation, we'll kind of like dip our toe into a little bit of political conversation, but that's not really necessarily a thing here. What we focus on is artistry, music, expression, and all that stuff. And
all that good stuff.
I've been hearing about DayEater for a minute. Didn't realize you were the guy from DayEater when I was shopping all the time at Wheatsville. How long have you been working at Wheatsville?
I've been at the co-op for about 5-6 years now. Wow. You lose track after the first year. But it's a pretty groovy place to work with. They're pretty tolerant of all my shenanigans. And so, I feel like it's a real honest way to earn a paycheck, too.
Really? Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Oh, I was thinking maybe bring this guy down a little bit just so it's not blocking your face. Like, make it like this. Can you do that? Yeah, right there. And that's about cool. Yeah, I just want them to see your face. And I want people to see my face. I was born this way. And I need all the effects I can get to look cool as possible.
Looking pretty good over here, man.
This just might be the wine talking. Yeah, we're having a glass of wine at
pretty good wine.
Right before 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Anyways, Friday night, or Friday day. So after I had been seeing the DayEater flyers mainly at Electric Church, which is owned or partly owned by Jeff, right? Jeff Wallace.
It's been a while. So of course, the pandemic shut shit down. I'm not sure if the Electric Church is even still going, but we were jamming there for a while. And it was really cool, man. It reminded me of a place in my hometown that we used to play. I was in a different band back then. It was a place called Studio B, and it was just like a underground venue that, a couple wall units were keeping the place chill enough. AC units and
where was it?
Light shows.
You said this is in San Antonio?
No, from Corpus Christi.
Corpus Christi. I'm sorry.
And yeah, man, back in those days, there wasn't a lot going on. You had like the 3-4 venues to play at, and it was pretty brutal.
So those are pretty much more or less all DIY shows then?
They were all DIY shows. Not a lot of things were, at least not the kind of the stuff that we were getting involved in was stepping it up too big. But they had a lot of stuff going on, and I don't think they survived the pandemic. That's kind of sad.
You think it's kind of like not going down over there anymore?
I haven't been in a while. I haven't heard any shows. I haven't. No, I don't think it's going down.
I have one Corpus Christi story. Would you mind if I shared it?
No, man.
Would you all mind if I shared it? Thank you. All right. So I had a band a long time ago called High Watt Crucifixers.
It's a rad name.
Yeah. The name was pretty cool. Like as soon as we all came to the agreement on High Watt Crucifixers, we all sort of looked at each other, became blood brothers, slid our palms, shook hands.
The oathy handshake.
Yeah. And went out and got wasted and decided to call the band High Watt Crucifixers. But anyways, we had a show down there. Oh, man. And we were playing with the band with this guy here in Austin. His name is JT. That's all I know. I don't know his last name, but he's a guitar player, tall, skinny, lanky, long-ass dreadlocks. Looks like he could have played for White Zombie back in like 91 or something like that. The bullet belt, the whole
the
boots
vibe,
and
the
shit.
Vibe.
Yeah, the whole thing. This guy looks like he's like a road warrior playing guitar, and he was a pretty hot guitar player.
Nice.
I mean, he was playing hot, not like hot, nice ass dude. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying. But he had a band there called the Drunks. And they apparently had somewhat of a following. Somehow we ended up getting on that bill, and we were all excited. So we go down to Corpus Christi. I had no idea it was like such a long drive. I got a flat tire on the way over there, and I was like already way behind everybody. So when I got the flat tire, I just called my friends on my flip phone because that's how we did it. That's how we did it back in those days. It was a Nokia flip phone. And summertime, and it's super hot. I had to lay on the pavement.
Get in there to change that.
Just to change. Well, I had to, because the tire is a truck. I had to go in there and lay on the pavement. And anyway,
knock that shit out.
Right, that was such a hassle. Then, anyways, finally get up back on the road. We make it to Corpus Christi. Bands there waiting. They got 24 pack of beer. So me, drummer, bass player, lead guitar player. Mario Alvarez was the guitar player. Chris Alanis playing drums, and my friend Jason Westbrook playing bass. And we'd gotten there super early. The gig didn't start till like 7 or 8 o'clock. So we went down to the beach, and I'm like, me being from the West Coast, I had never been to the beach.
The third coast.
The third coast. I had never been to the third coast. I'd heard a lot about it. Was nothing like the Santa Cruz water at all.
Yeah.
There was like not that many waves. I'm used to seeing like waves at Santa Cruz, and the water in Santa Cruz is freezing cold, dude.
Ooh, okay.
It's like down. It's like Barton Springs cold.
Okay.
That's how cold it is typically. Anyways, so I'm like, well, fuck it. It's a beach. Let's go ahead and just jump in this water. And there's tons of family and shit. People out there just, waiting in the water, drinking beer, soda, whatever. I'm like, yeah, we're here. We're with the bros, and we're just got a show tonight. Let's get a good buzz on us or whatever. And I had these cool glasses I had just bought. They fell off my face. I forgot how. And I'm like, oh, let me try to reach down and grab them. So I'm reaching down to try to grab them. And I feel something, and I'm like, oh, I think I grabbed them. And I pulled up this Pepsi bottle that was filled with this black liquid.
Whoa.
I was like, oh shit. And I kept looking around for more stuff, and then there was like cans and like candy wrappers, and I just gave up on the glasses. And then I started looking around and realizing, I'm like, is this a dirty ass beach or something? It kind of felt like that. But then other people assured me that there was other cooler beaches like near Port A and stuff like that. But anyways, so that was cool. That did not stop us from having a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, I had to be squinting the whole time because it was super bright out there. And then we go play the show, and it was a great show. We did really well. Lots of people came out. I forgot what the name of the place was, but when I got home, there was sand in everything we had. Like and my guitar cases. Like, I don't know how that happened. Shoes, everything. Car. We all had sand on us. But
sand everywhere, man.
And I guess like there was sand near, like on the streets near the venue, and I was like, how does that happen? They're like, oh well, the tide comes in and brings in sand, and I didn't know. That's how close we were to the water. But that's the one and only time I've ever been to Corpus Christi. I don't know anything else beyond that.
It's pretty chill, man. Back in the day, we used to throw a couple like beach parties.
That sounds like fun, dude.
There's like the city, and there's like the McGee Beach, which is like the city-made beach. But you drive like 20 minutes south, and you're at Padre Island, and that's the beach. The only kind of beach I've ever beached at. I've never been to the east or west coast. Mm-hmm. But dude, there was a night where we used to do these like local art walk things in the middle of the park. And the bands would be playing. You shut that stuff down by like sundown. It's like, well, everybody's got a mean old buzz. Everybody's already out with all their gear. Let's go south. Let's go drive south to the beach. Hook up somebody shows up with a generator, more beer, bonfires all night. Playing so with the drums, all the amps and the drums and everything never left like truck beds. Mm-hmm. Everything stayed on top of something. And if you were playing like a guitar or something, you were on the floor. But drummers and amps. All that stuff stayed up on top. Yeah, and we made it work, man. We made it work. They didn't call the cops on us or anything. We were out there jamming till like sunrise.
God damn.
Yeah, just playing to the water. Yeah.
Have you ever done hallucinogenic drugs on the beach?
Yeah, man. So this one time, this is the only time I've ever seen this happen at the beach. We had some stuff or whatever. Like, hey, let's go down to the beach. It's nighttime. We'll do a bonfire. Well, we show up, and the waves are crashing in. And they're glowing green and like blue, and it's the only time in my life I've ever seen it. But when the plankton or whatever become bioluminescent.
Wow,
and
that's
yeah,
awesome.
Man. So like you stick your hand in the water and you're moving around. It's pitch black outside, so you can only see the water.
Yeah.
And you step like on the wet sand and blue lines, and that was a pretty freaky time, man. I know that for sure. I've never ever seen it like that before.
Oh man, I did mushrooms on the beach one time in Santa Cruz, and when you're on the beach and there's like bonfires, there's different parties going on. You can see other groups of people. You know what I mean? And I remember I bought all this beer, but I remember I bought like this Sierra Nevada beer. I'm like really into Sierra Nevada beer. So I took a bunch of mushrooms, and then when the mushrooms started hitting me, I'm drinking my Sierra Nevada, and a friend of mine comes up to me and goes, "Where'd you get the Sierra?" I'm like, oh, I bought these, man, for me. And as I was saying it, this is just something that mushrooms do, or these types of hallucinogenic drugs do. I just heard a voice in my head going, dude, why are you being greedy with your cool beer? And I'm like, then in that instant, before I even finished the sentence, I just felt like an asshole for even thinking that. And that's like one of the things a lot about hallucinogenic drugs is it makes you very introspective on your own behavior. It's like all your little faults, they kind of like sort of get amplified. Even the way you might look at something or feel about something when you take hallucinogenic drugs, it's like the mirrors turn back on you and magnified. And in that instance, I was like, yeah, I bought the 6-pack of beer just for me when there's other people here drinking. They wish they had, yeah, here, take a beer.
Have a beer, man.
I gave all of my beer away. I gave the rest. It was only a 6-pack, but then I felt even bad. I'm like, I just kind of wish I should have just bought everybody good beer. What was I thinking, And it kind of, and then I guess like somebody on the beach like had this really like aggressive dog out on, and it was a pit bull. It was a pit bull dog, and I've been attacked by dogs many times. I've been to the ER for being. I got attacked by a Rottweiler one time.
Damn.
And it bit the fuck out of my arm, and I had to have like plastic surgery because they had to go in here and fix like these tendons and shit. Because I couldn't move this finger, and I couldn't move. They were just stuck.
Fuck.
You know what I mean? They were just stuck. So I had to. And right here, this scar right there, you could see my bone. It was
shit.
It was white, like paper
Chomped
white.
The shit out of you.
Yeah, right in front of a cop. The cop just sat there,
Wow.
and I'm like, because he was giving me a parking ticket, and I walked out there. I'm like, hey, what's up with my parking ticket? And a dog just happened to be there, jumped on me and just bit me. And he just stood there and asked me, as I was being attacked by this dog, the cop's just sitting there going, or meter maid. He's like, do you need any help? I'm like, can you get this dog off of my arm, dude? And he's just like, well, I don't really know how to do that. And like the only person that was there that helped me was like some homeless dude.
Whoa.
He came up to the dog and put the dog in like this hold. And I swear to God, I can't confirm it because I didn't see it, but other people told me he like started poking the dog's butt. And that freaked the dog out.
Yeah, man, that's
just
like
if,
Steve Irwin shit. Dude.
Yeah, like it freaked the dog out. The dog finally let go. And
wow.
I had like this jacket on, and I couldn't move my hand. And I remember as he was biting me, I kept feeling weird snaps in my hand. And I looked down from my jacket, and I could just see blood just running down.
Fuck.
Yeah, they call the ER. Yeah, I'm terrified of dogs. I mean, so what ended up happening was like we're at this beach, and then I'm on mushrooms, and I see this dog, and I'm like, oh my God, I hope this dog doesn't. I'm like, we're in nature. He's in nature. He's out of his element. He doesn't know what to protect. He's just running around being a crazy dog. He ain't gonna do nothing, and he didn't. He walked up to us and goes, and like turned around and just like ran back to wherever.
Shit.
But I was totally I was digging in the sand. When you dig in the sand at night, it has like this weird. You see like these weird sparkles in the sand.
Yeah.
And if you dig hard enough, fast enough,
they kind of like ching.
Mm-hmm. And then the stars. There's no city lights out there. It's crazy beautiful. So I've done plenty of partying on the beach.
Good old beach, man. I
never jammed on the beach though.
That was fun.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
I feel like that was a once in a lifetime thing.
What other DIY gigs did you do? House shows, obviously, right?
We've definitely had I've definitely had my share of how should I say but
what other bands have you been in?
I've been in all kinds of. I've been jamming since I was about 15 or so. So about half my life.
Okay.
And when we were in Corpus, what really got us going, we were in a pretty successful little thrash band. We were like a punk thrash band. We were really good. We were really fast. We were really hard. We were really young. And so all the older dudes really didn't like us, and we like had a hard time getting into like venues and shit like that. But
ain't that a drag?
It was kind of a drag, man. But it was what it was. It was so stupid of us, man. We would act so dumb out there. We'd try to play for like an hour and a half or something like that. And it's just not how you do it. Yeah.
Hour and a half of music?
Yeah, dude.
Playing
like
thrash?
Punk thrash music.
Yeah.
We had a lot of tunes, man.
Sounds like fun, though.
And yeah, man, I didn't really have anybody to be like, I knew we wanted to be in a band, and we knew we wanted to like be taken seriously, but we thought the way to do that was just show up and be better than everybody and like just fucking jam. Yeah, nobody told us, like, nobody was like 35 minutes max, and nobody was like, you should be talking about getting paid, and nobody was there for us to be like that, man. So we just like, I can see now why back looking back at it, all the older cats are like, I hate these kids.
Well, it's trial and error. You learn shit as you go along, and if you don't have anybody there to kind of like coach you through it, people who've been through it. I mean, dude, I didn't use a guitar tuner till like 2003.
Shit.
And I've been playing guitar fucking forever, and I've never used a tuner. I would just tune it before ear. I would tune by ear before we would play. And then in the middle of songs, I would talk to my bass player. Give me your A real quick. Dang, dang, like right in front of people.
Yeah,
in front of crowds. On stages, I would do shit like that. It just never occurred to me. And then one day, my drummer was like, dude, you're making us look like amateurs out here. You got to get this might be your band. You might be the singer and write all the songs. But you don't have a tuner? Come on, dude.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, nobody up until that point had really even taught me how to do that. You need people there to kind of guide you and tell you, all right, so 35 minutes is cool, 45 you're kind of pushing it, 40-minute mark you're kind of pushing it. There's other guys here that want to play.
Oh yeah,
we're talking
breaking drums off on stage and shit like that.
Right,
man.
right.
Just doing everything fucking wrong.
Now these days it's like, all right, I'm most of the time when I ever play a gig, I always talk to the band who's playing after us or before us. I'm like, hey, I have a 412 16 ohm cab. You could use that. If that's going to save you time. Oh, cool. Thanks, man. Awesome. Because it's all about time. Because as you get older, you start realizing everybody in these other bands, like they have lives. They took the time out of their life that whoever else is involved in behind the scenes.
Making it fucking happen.
We're all making it happen. So it'd be kind of shitty of me to not try to help out my fellow musicians. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying like trial and error. You start getting better. And as you go further along the road, when you start seeing people doing stuff like that, you kind of like, oh, I remember I used to do that. I used to do that too.
Yeah, totally, man. It's kind of, it makes you cringe a little bit. But then, like, on the other side of the spectrum, we've been the ones to kind of like right the ship before. Like, oh man, that last band played fucking too long. We could play our set, like we're supposed to, or we can like cut a tune, kind of get shit.
15-minute power set, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Just trying to like get stuff back on track. And I've had that work out in our favor before, man. Like we used to try to book shows at the Mohawk, and the dudes at the Mohawk noticed. They're like, hey man, you helped us get back together. Mm-hmm. We're going to book you again. We're going to get you back in here, get a better show. And sure enough, it worked out.
Oh,
man,
cool. I love Mohawk. I played there a few times.
Yeah. I haven't been in a while, but we were able to pack up that back room and looking to like trying to get out to filling out the outside, Mm-hmm. But shit, I've seen a lot of good bands at the Mohawk.
Oh, dude,
X was like one of my favorite shows.
I missed
recently.
that.
That was a lot of fun. I had just got turned on to X because I had heard they were coming, and somebody's like, "Dude, you got to go see X."
Yeah, check out X.
I'd seen The Decline of Western Civilization a long time ago when I was young. Yeah. But I was watching it for like Circle Jerks and Germs and shit like that.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. I love Circle Jerks and I love Germs, man.
I really
I think those are like those two bands and The Damned. I think those two bands were like the main focus for that documentary for me. I love Circle Jerks so bad.
The Damned was, so you said White Zombie earlier. My first ever live concert was Concrete Street Amphitheater presents Rob Zombie and The Damned. The Damned opened up the show, and they got booed off stage, man. Like
what?
Booed off stage. Like they were throwing shit. They didn't get past like 3 songs.
No.
Yeah, man. And this is like
rude.
I'm like in the 5th grade.
Where was this at?
Concrete Street Amphitheater, Corpus Christi. Yep.
Concrete Amphitheater, Corpus Christi.
And I was just like, like the idea of playing music was starting to bud in my head. And I'm like, I'm gonna go see Rob Zombie and The Damned, and show up, and it's like a field full of adults just like boo.
So this is like 2004?
This was probably 2001, maybe like 01, 02.
02, yeah. I remember when the Damned were doing some shows in the States. I didn't know that they played in Corpus. Honestly, I'm not super mega fan of the Damned, but I do understand and realize that that you know they put work in, and
It tripped me out, man.
Yeah.
I didn't understand at the time. I mean, like, I'm watching this band play. I'm like, they sound good. The guitar player was playing behind his head. The keyboard player was jumping up and down. And I'm like, I don't get it. It's just like...
Just a bunch of Mexicanos going, boo!
Yeah, hey, for real. And then, so, man, growing up, I always had it in my head that, like, you have to... If you're going to be in a band, it has to be tough. And you have to be heavy because nobody wants that pussy shit.
Yeah.
That's just going to get you booed, and that's sensitive wussy guy shit. You got to write heavy riffs, and you got to be strong. You got to be fast and heavy.
Yeah.
But every band has one pussy song. Because I'm like listening like Blizzard of Oz and stuff, and it's like, goodbye to romance. Yeah. And so I'm like, all right, I get it. There's
Goodbye to friends.
one ballad.
I've been listening to Blizzard of Oz. Okay. For the last week, honestly, and I don't even know why you said that. That's crazy. I've been listening to Diary of a Madman, Bark at the Moon, and Blizzard of Oz. I've been listening to those like every day in my car.
Good records, man.
Oh, those are classic records. Yeah, those are classic records. Did you know that Sharon Osbourne had Jason Trujillo from Metallica go in there and replace all of Rudy Sarzo's bass lines?
Oh, really?
For Blizzard of Oz?
Damn.
Yeah.
I like Rudy Sarzo.
I'm not
plays
trying
the
to
bass like this sometimes.
Oh, I don't know. I think that was one of his things that he did as far as like being a showman.
Yeah, he'd play and then he'd like do something like that.
Rudy Sarzo. I think the classic Ozzy lineup was Rudy Sarzo, Randy Rhoads, Tommy Aldridge, and Ozzy.
The dude with the fro, the drummer with the fro. That's really good, really tight.
Crazy good. Yeah, that's a legendary lineup. After Randy Rhoads passed, I think Brad Gillis from Night Ranger took over for a little while. Brad Gillis is a personal guitar hero of mine.
He's a man, dude. He filled those shoes incredibly.
Well, he was really doing stuff with that whammy bar that just was blowing people's minds at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Like getting like the tremolo and just going...
The flutter. Yeah, man.
I was like, how is he doing that?
That's why I have a Floyd Rose on my guitar.
Just so you could...
To try to flutter, dive, and just try to, I try not to abuse it, but sometimes I feel like, I can't do everything a guitar player can do, so any other extra little tricks that I can pull out of my bag, I like to bust out.
Nice, man. I just realized I didn't put a timer on this, so let's go ahead and reset, start, so at least we know. And now we know where we're at.
Now we know.
So you grew up more into metal or into punk then?
Punk music, man. I mean, it started with like the Beatles and shit like that, and you want to write songs like the Animals and Rolling Stones, but nobody wants to hear you sing "I Want to Hold Your Hand" and stuff like that. Or at least where I was, they wanted
Beat on the Brat or something.
Yes, exactly, man. And that's what we started cranking out. We were really into bands like Sloppy Seconds, Screeching Weasel.
Holy shit, I love Screeching Weasel, dude. That's one of my boogada.
Yeah, we used to do Dingbat and My Right all the time. Like those were like, we're doing these songs.
Dude.
Because nobody heard them. It was just us in our little circle.
I think I was just listening to boogada, dude.
It's a good record, man. It's a really good record.
I swear to God.
Well, you have it on vinyl?
Yeah, I think I was.
That's so cool.
I do. Wait, hold on. I was listening to, or maybe I put it back. I go through these phases where I just like listen to, this is what I've been listening to like in the house.
Okay.
I was listening to Jets to Brazil. I don't know if you know who they are.
That sounds rad.
I was listening to Jay Mascis. This is an acoustic album where it's all just him doing Dinosaur Jr. songs, acoustic songs.
Doesn't he like normally show up with like full stacks and stuff when he plays?
3.
Yeah.
I played a show with Jay Mascis with Dinosaur Jr. in Thailand with fucking Thurston Moore. And he had 3 full stacks.
Marshall stacks, right?
Yeah, I had took pictures. I was like, and I got to hang out in ELO, of course.
Cool.
You gotta love ELO. What else? Bad Company.
That's why they call me Bad Company. Rocksteady. Fuck yeah.
Ready for love, dude. This whole album
I didn't know Bad Company did all those songs.
Yeah, dude. Bad Company's dope. That's the.
Rocksteady.
And when I hear your music, I hear like a lot of not so much punk stuff, but I hear like a lot of classic rock vibe when I hear your music, like the beginning intro stuff. Queen, of course, Night at the Opera. Oh yeah, The Game. That's when. By this time, I'm pretty sure Freddie Mercury was like, "Yeah, I'm gay and I don't give a fuck."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a Rainbow with Dio, of course.
Okay.
It's a good one.
Dude, this is a record that taught me how to fucking rock.
Oh.
Like, no bullshit. My dad would play that record for me all the time, and I wanted to be just like Mick Mars. Like, I wanted to, yeah. Dude, for real, man.
Oh my
like,
God, dude, Mick Mars was like,
he was the professional.
He was the best.
He showed up and he's like, you guys are in my band now.
I'm like, he was playing hammer guitars for all, then he was playing Kramer guitars, and every guitar I saw him hold, I'm like, I gotta have a Kramer guitar. Dude, look at these dudes.
Yeah.
Look at these dudes.
My daddy.
I would date these dudes.
And I've all,
Look at Tommy
Lee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, all right, so I've only seen Motley Crue once, but I got a wild fucking story.
I never got to see Motley Crue.
It might not be that wild, but it was wild to me.
Okay.
So I'm going with my buddy, and he's like, "Yo, man, I got tickets to Motley Crue. Alice Cooper's the opening act. It's in San Antonio, the Alamo Dome, or what the fuck ever.
Okay.
If you can get us a ride, I got a ticket with your name on it. Well, fuck yeah, I got us a ride out there. So we're like kicking it in the back seat. Homegirl's driving us, and we're like in the back seat drinking like cheap ass white box wine.
Cool.
Just like going to town with the little teat bag.
Did you just take the bag out?
Yeah, man.
Just like
listening to all the Motley
Space
Crue
bag.
records that we could on the way.
Okay.
So we get there. I have to take like the hugest piss in the world from like the side of the stadium. I'm like behind some bushes taking a leak. I'm in there, pay $12 for my fucking Ziegenbach or whatever, By the time Alice Cooper had finished, we were like balcony seats at the edge, and I'm just like, oh my God, I can't take it. And I knew Motley Crue was gonna come. I put my drink down on the ground, I looked over to my friend and I'm like, hey, I'll see you when the show's over. Grabbed the rail and jumped from the second story down, hopped up, grabbed my beer, and then just walked into the crowd. So I found myself like, I get into like what I thought was general admission. It's all seats. Everybody's got seats, and there's like all these seats. They're all like zip tied together. So I'm like moving around, like, oh my God, I'm gonna get thrown out. I gotta find a seat. So I find the seat empty, and I'm like, okay, I'm having a good time. I'm rocking. Motley Crue's coming out. It's fucking amazing. They're doing this thing where like they come on, like they're hovering over the stage on like these mechanical arms.
The band members?
Yeah, dude.
Holy shit.
So I'm like on my seat, jumping up, trying to like touch the bottom of this thing. And the little rock moms are like, you shouldn't do that. You're going to get thrown out. And I'm like, okay, I know what you want. Pulled out my little dugout.
Yeah.
I'm like, here, do you want to hit this? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get thrown out of here.
Yeah.
So I try to like scram somewhere else, and I find myself in this open spot, and I'm like slamming and I'm dancing, I'm enjoying it, and Nikki Sixx comes out and he's shooting flames out of his bass.
What?
And these things are going over my head, and I start to sweat, and I'm like, I think I'm too close. I think I was in the space between the stage and the crowd, and I look behind me, and it's the row of like handicapped people where they have the handicap seats, and I'm like dead spot in the front. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna get thrown out. And this whole time I'm like, okay, I gotta disappear. It was all over that place, just like a combination of like hiding, checking out the band, freaking out, trying to make sure I didn't like overstay my welcome in one spot. And then they finished, and I was like, there's gonna be an encore. Has to be an encore. I'm waiting for it. I'm like up in the front, and they come out in the back. They like do their encore from behind the crowd, and so everybody turns around and they do Home Sweet Home.
Holy shit.
Well, I was like, boo.
Oh, you didn't like that song?
Every band needs a pussy song.
Oh, right. Oh, I like how you tie that all back together. Yeah.
So I was like, all right, that's cool. And then I remember the cool thing about it too is when the band was over, the lights came back on, the stagehands were walking around with like the guitars.
Yeah.
Mick Mars Strat, and it was like a white Thunderbird or something that Nikki Sixx was playing, and they were letting people touch it and look at it and stuff.
Wow.
Touch the bass.
Yeah. Man, I've listened to a little bit of Nikki Sixx's podcast. He seems like a really cool dude.
Is it like 6 Cents or 6 a.m. or something like that?
I forgot. Honestly, I forgot. But I heard a couple of it like on YouTube. I just saw. Oh, I didn't know Nikki Sixx had a podcast.
He seems pretty put together, for a guy who's died and been brought back to life.
Dude, that guy is like Yeah, he did die from the heroin shit, right? And he came back totally sober 25 years ago. Just recently, I think I saw him put a post on Facebook talking about sobriety and 25 years. So that's pretty amazing. That's cool in itself. And then he could still go out and be Nikki Sixx. He doesn't have to be wasted to be Nikki Sixx.
Amen to that.
You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to. And a couple of years ago, I took like a year off of drinking. I did have to learn how to have fun again in a bar or at a show. I want to say it took about 3 months for me to be okay with just drinking a topo or getting like a cranberry and just soda.
The virgin.
And just like, pretend like I'm drinking or I feel like I'm drinking when all my other friends are. So yeah, this guy's managed to do it like pretty much the remainder of his life, and hopefully he lives a lot longer. But yeah, Motley Crue for me growing up was a big deal, and seeing you just seeing all the theatrics and stuff, and even like the content, like the warnings on the thing, like when I got the cassette, I remember I opened it up, and then in the liner notes it says, "Warning: this song may contain backmasking message." Yeah, something like, may contain backmasking. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta listen to this.
I gotta find it. Yeah.
So I'm like listening to it. I'm like waiting to hear it, and I just ended up listening to Shout at the Devil for probably a year straight. I think around that time, it was like, for me, in the 80s, because I'm fixing to be 47 here next Wednesday. So
Nice.
So back in those days, I think I'm listening to Motley Crue about 84, 83. And just remember like hiding in my closet because my mom was like a super hardcore Christian. And if she would have caught me listening to Motley Crue, I would have been fucked 6 ways to Sunday. So I'm like sitting there in my closet. I'm like listening for this backmasking message. I'm trying to figure it out what it is. And all I ever found was at the beginning of Shout at the Devil, down, 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 and then right before the whole fucking song kicks in, full band, you hear like this guy in the background going, yeah.
Yeah.
And like, that's it. I'm like, is that the backmasking message that they're talking about? But if you listen really, really close, right before the the count, right before the entire band comes in, shout at the devil. Like, so that part going, yeah. And then that's where you hear it. So that's like all I'm like, is that like the backmasking shit I've been looking for?
Oh,
but
man.
anyways, yeah, Motley Crue were very important for me growing up. I wanted to be Mick Mars so bad.
He's the best. He's the professional. And then like of those bands that are like that, man, like Poison and Warrant and Whitesnake and Cinderella, all that shit. I just think like those first 3 Motley Crue records are
I love Girls, Girls,
the best
Girls.
ones, yeah.
I like Girls, Girls, Girls a lot. I like Girls, Girls, Girls probably more than I like Theater of Pain. But even though Theater of Pain does have Smoking in the Boys' Room, that Slade cover that they did, I like that one a lot too. Probably the cover art was my favorite about Theater of Pain. But I really liked Girls, Girls, Girls. And then
Dr. Feelgood. I thought Dr. Feelgood was
Dr.
all right,
Feelgood was cool. That record took a little bit to grow on me. But honestly, I don't know why it did. I don't think I like the cover art is what it was. It's like that mint
sword thing.
It's like that mint green cover with I don't know what it was.
You're right, yeah. It's like seafoam green.
Yeah, it was something like that. I liked it like dark and dangerous looking.
You said Slade. I do like.
Wasn't
Quiet
that a
Riot.
Slade? Wasn't that a
well,
Slade?
yeah,
song?
Slade.
Okay,
but
yeah.
skipping for like Slade, so Quiet Riot was the mental health record. I jammed that record a lot.
I love that.
Happening.
That's an important record for the 80s, from the 80s.
Blackout too by Scorpions was another record that it kind of like took me from like punk to I don't want to say metal because I'm not a metal guitar player, but just like being a little more sophisticated about my playing. It was really psychedelics that brought it full circle, man. We were in a punk band, and all of a sudden we ate some crazy stuff, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, let's add a keyboard player, let's chill out and stuff. And got all weird.
I went from listening to like metal my whole life and trying to be Mick Mars or Brad Gillis to now let's listen to Black Flag and Circle Jerks and I had gotten into punk probably. I remember the transition. I was like still like listening to So Far So Good So What from Megadeth, and one of my punk rock friends in middle school Yeah, I think it was in 6th grade or 7th grade or 6th grade. And he goes, hey man, I really like Megadeth. Do you wanna trade? I have this really cool mixtape of punk music. And I'm like, punk. Is that like Devo? He's like, oh no, this is not. Because I didn't know I didn't know.
World.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know what punk was.
Right.
So he gave me a mixtape of. It was basically just 7 seconds and.
Dude, 7 seconds are awesome.
Yes, it was 7 seconds. Walk together, rock together.
That's we can rock.
No, yeah, that one.
Together,
And
why can't we walk?
together.
It's a badass song.
And then The Crew was also in there, which ended up being one of my ultimate favorite top 10 punk records of all time. The Crew from 7 Seconds, not realizing that what they were about, and also Dead Kennedys, Frankenchrist. So I spent all my and Dr. No. So there was like Dr. No, Frankenchrist, 7 Seconds were on this mixtape he had. I let him borrow Peace Sells. No. I let him borrow So Far So Good. So What? Because they had covered a Sex Pistols song on that song.
What song do they do on there?
Anarchy in the UK.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they do. They do that.
So he wanted to borrow it because he wanted to listen to, because he liked, but I ended up like, oh my God, I gotta. So I went out, I found a 7 Seconds, The Crew tape, and I read the lyrics. And when I read the lyrics, that's when I was like, this is how I feel. Like, this is how I feel. Specifically, they had one lyric that says, how come everything you say is right? How come everything I say is wrong? And that lyric just made me go, boing, this is it. This is what I'm listening to. I get this. And every song was about just like youth, being discounted, being an individual, respecting other people's rights, taking care of yourself.
Nice.
Like all that stuff. And I didn't realize that they were a straight edge band. I'm like, I'm still partying, smoking weed and dropping acid. But I really, yeah, even in middle school, I was doing crazy drugs like that. But that really spoke to me. And then I got into Dead Kennedys after that, and then the Misfits, and like all the top 10. What else? Circle Jerks, Black Flag, Dr. No. Those were like the big ones. And then I heard Bad Brains, kind of like just totally. I'm like, oh my God, black people play punk too. I had no idea. I was completely in the dark about punk, and it kind of changed my life. So I consider myself punk even now, before like metal, dude. But I still listen to metal. But yeah, I was listening to Group Sex from Circle Jerks the other day, just because it's such a sweet short album, beginning to end.
It's a good one.
It's like, what, 15 minutes long or something? 16-minute long record?
I really liked, I found like a taste for the Descendants. I don't know if you like the Descendants.
I love the Descendants.
They get a little poppy, but for me, that like was right on the line for, it's like, it's still tough. The riffs are still good, but he's like singing about being heartbroken.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a sad little boy. And I really, when I heard that kind of stuff, talking about like short records, short songs, they got like shit that flies by, and I was like, what? The song didn't even start. It had one chorus. What do you mean that was the song? I didn't know music could be that way. And it was hearing music like that kind of was like, oh, it doesn't have to be A, B, A, C, outro.
Right.
Done, you know what
Structure
I mean?
or a formula.
You can just do whatever, do your own kind of thing.
You can do whatever you want. Which reminds me of the music, some of the music that I listen to you. It seems like the music I've listened to from DayEater, you kind of like go on like this, because I listened to, back, I've heard you guys, as soon as I start hearing about you guys' name and seeing the flyers, and even my friend Jeff, that was, I don't know if we were talking about earlier about Electric Church, he had mentioned to me, he's like, yeah, dude, my band, what's his band, Neon Tusk, or?
Is it Neon, is he a Neon Cobra, or is it, there was a band called Iron Tusk?
No, not Iron Tusk. I know I did see Iron Tusk one time. Oh no, yeah, I did see Iron Tusk at Emos with Caustic Resin. No, but what is the name of his band? I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm such an asshole when it comes to that. There's so many names and peoples and bands.
There's a lot of shit's gone by.
Yeah, but anyways, he's the one that told me, he's like, oh, you gotta check out DayEater, dude. Like, they're awesome. They're like doing great. So I listened to some of your songs. Your songs seem to like go on adventures, like, and not just adventures, but like really interesting music that's put together and written a certain way that I'm familiar with, and I dig it. It kind of just like sort of jam bandish to me a little bit, or it feels like that, or I'm just not really sure if I'm kind of going more off of the optics of the album covers or whatever.
Right.
But to me, it's just very reminiscent of just real good classic rock with. You bring in the guitar lead back, dude. Not a lot of dudes are doing that in that style of music these days, and I think that's cool.
Thank you. When we first started to get together and we were gonna like do something about this, we sat in the rehearsal studio. That's my apartment, and the first album, which I think is like 12 songs or something. We recorded it there, and then even still afterwards, we were like, "Oh, let's do a second full-length album." So there's another like 14 songs that we did. We recorded the drums here in town at a studio called the White Room. Sebastian something. I can't remember his name. We just called him Seabass, but he's pretty close to the to the co-op.
I love that.
He has a good room. It's a white room, good floor, good walls, and we recorded drum tracks in there. And then went to my buddy's place and did like all the strings through like Kemper's, man. Believe it or not, we went through like Kemper stuff, and I was kind of like, "Oh, this sounds good, but this doesn't really sound."
What's the Kemper?
The Kemper, so it's like modeling amps and stuff like that.
Oh,
yeah,
dude, I've never played.
Plugged into like a box, and
yeah,
he was like, "I have 600 different amps to choose from, and 1,200 different tones, and you want to sound like Van Halen, or you want to sound like Jimmy Page, and blah blah blah."
Wow.
So, I mean, it was interesting to me because I was still fresh to recording my own kind of stuff. But when we kind of had this moment where it's like, we need to kind of, for at least for now, choose a direction and choose something that we can kind of focus our guns at and like appeal to a target audience.
Right.
So when we started getting in touch with the Bubble, we kind of realized that, hey, all right, we're just going to try to be like this acid, heavy psych band. You know what I mean? Kind of like those other two records are, to me, they're kind of all over the place and they don't really sound coherent. But when we kind of made the decision to just be like I'll say it again, a heavy psych band, is when all this stuff at the Bubble started coming through. We recorded this track that my bass player wrote the whole damn thing as a 9-minute song called Nightmare, but it's like really heavy, really stoner, really doom kind of. And we had never done anything like that.
Was that the one that you guys made a video for?
Yeah, it was a long little movie.
I watched
for
that.
A video.
Yeah, I watched it.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun making that video, man. We did it on a pretty tight budget, and Katie McDowell directed that along with John Rosales, and they did a really good job.
No, I think that video was actually put together pretty fucking cool.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, that's when I was like, all right, well, these guys are making moves. I mean, it's one thing to hear a musician or a band talk about their band and saying that they're playing over here and over there. And then it's another thing, which is next level, when you see this band actually putting in work and not just talking about how much they love or care about their band, but you're seeing their actions that are saying, I really give a fuck about what I'm doing, and I'm going to do, this is what this requires. And it's a lot of hard work, man. I mean, it is.
That.
It really
for those of you listening at home, it's a lot of hard work.
And it's very expensive sometimes.
Fuck yeah, it is, man. It is. It's a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort goes into it.
Yeah, a lot of times too, man. What really helps a lot too is just like a really good attitude. Like I will admit, like when I first moved to Austin, I had this idea of being like this really popular DJ, and I wanted to do. I had aspirations because I knew there was a DJ here. I forgot his name, but I guess Mohawk used to be called the Caucus Room, and he was a resident DJ there, and he was on a record label called Moonshine that I knew about. That was a trance label type music. Trance music. I don't know if you know what trance is.
I remember trance music.
So forgot his name, but I remember I came here with aspirations of being like a famous worldwide type of DJ. When that didn't really pan out, and I realized, I'm in a sea of badass DJs. So I'm gonna go ahead, and then I'm like, you know what? I got my guitar. I could play music. And then so I started playing music, and I started getting into the bands. And for a little while there, I did have stars in my eyes. I was seeing friends of mine like making it. Like when I'm saying making it, I'm like, yeah, dude, we're going on tour with Weezer and shit.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's, yeah.
So I'm like, I always felt like I was like 1 degree away from being asked to go on tour with Metallica, like The Sword did. Like, you know, like The Sword from Austin,
Straight
Texas.
up, yeah, Kyle.
You know, yeah, Kyle Shoot, JD, those guys, Jimmy, or, you know, I mean, the guy before, what was his name?
I just know Kyle is the only guy I know from The Sword.
Yeah. Well, one day, I don't know where, I guess Lars from Metallica was like, got a hold of The Sword and like, hey, y'all want to go on a tour? You know what I mean? So I always felt like I'm like 1 degree away from something like that happening. I sort of like stopped caring about that so much because I realized I was being irritating and I was being too hard on myself and I was pissing off my band members and losing sight of why I was playing guitar in the first place. And when I started to like not caring so much, and that's when things really started happening.
Opening up.
Yeah,
wow.
I just stopped expecting, and then things just started happening. But for a couple of years though, like I would say between 2000 and 2002, I was sort of caught up in that. But then afterwards, I'm like, you know, whatever happens, happens. I'm just gonna make the best music I can, and I want to play music that I want to hear, and I want to play shows with my friends, and that's it. And that's what we did. I just never realized that being really good at tuning guitars and fixing guitars would take me around the world, and I ended up playing, you know, filling in guitar for Trail of Dead on a number of shows.
Nice. Like
in front of thousands of people. Like Trail of Dead still has a giant, massive following, and they're still insanely huge in Europe and in Asia. And of course, you know, we're all friends now, but back then it was work, and they asked me to do it, and you know, the Slayer thing happened for me, and I never asked for that, and Frenchie made that happen for me.
Wow.
It's just when I just realized like I stopped caring so much is like when things started happening, and when I really started just focusing on the music and trying to make the best records I can, and just find myself as an individual in the music scene, just find myself as a musician and trying to find myself and figure out who I am, what kind of music I want to play, or what's speaking to me. Kind of like going back to what you were saying, like the first 2 records, you kind of feel like you're just sort of like everywhere, but
yeah.
now you're sort of like finding like you have an idea of what type of music you want to play, or what it's going to sound like, or what it's going to be like, and maybe that takes a record or 2 for that to happen. It certainly happened for me that way.
I think a lot of, you know, so you're no stranger to it, but the game has changed. You know, not a lot of people want to sit down and listen to a whole albums full of stuff. Like releases are coming, at least like on the more indie or independent level, single by single. Here's one song, here's so the way I'm seeing it happen, and the way I'm being kind of like guided as far as like how to get the most out of what's happening. It's like you put a lot of time and effort into releasing a full-length album, and then that's it. You threw all your cards in this basket, you released it. And unless you have like some good hype or some good follow-up or something really good, it's just kind of like, a lot of times people don't really care. These days we're kind of in this notion of like, take it song by song, and every song that you release is a big deal. And that's kind of how it is these days. People are releasing singles, and it comes with like the single, the official music video, the lyric video, and then the supplementary music video. And all that stuff goes into just one song. Not to mention like the PR, the promotion, trying to get it out there. So it's kind of put like a little bit of a break, or it put the brakes on us, because we were like trying to release records, you know, we're like, oh, we're budding young artists. We've got a catalog of songs. And these days it's like one and then another and then another until I don't know, until one of them busts or something. Yeah. You know, the idea for me was do this kind of thing strategically throughout the year. At the end of the year, the beginning of the next year, put it all on like a vinyl. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, if you want it all together, here it is. If you don't, there it is on.
Okay.
On the tube.
Did you ever? Do you remember that band? Oh my god, I'm gonna lose so much Austin punk rock points. I'm gonna lose so much punk rock points in Austin here right now.
It's gonna hit you like a slippery fish.
UK, not the UK subs. That's the U. What's the something subs?
Oh, the Flame Trick subs. The guy plays the bass. He plays the bass one-handed.
Right, the Flame Trick subs.
I've heard a lot about them. A lot of people tell me about them. I've seen pictures of them. I've heard their music, but I've never got to see them live.
Well, dude was playing. His fret hand. So
he plays like this.
Yeah, his fret hand. So he was like doing this number with the upright. And I remember the first time I saw Flame Trick subs, which was really cool because they had such a cool, you know, they brought their own lights, their own smoke machine, green lights, smoke. You got these hot chicks up there, like barely dressed in satanic cheerleading outfits and stuff. And they had the whole dance routine. It was an entire production.
Yeah, man.
And I saw them at Beerland. I saw them at Beerland.
Ooh, Beerland.
But that dude was playing bass with one hand, and I had never seen that. I hadn't seen it up until now. But the dude still had there wasn't any hand, but there was a piece of his hand that was able to move it, and dude, he was all over it, and it sounded, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy's killing it,
going to town, man.
He didn't let it stop him. Obviously, it has not stopped you.
Sometimes I wonder, I've heard a lot about that guy. I wonder if he's ever heard about me.
Maybe, man. I don't know. I don't know what happened to that dude. Was this something that you were born that way? Or?
Yeah, man. Back in 89, I was born with what they called Poland syndrome. So it involves an underdevelopment of limbs, sometimes webbed fingers and toes, which I don't have.
What's it called?
Poland syndrome.
Poland syndrome.
Yeah. And aside with this, I don't have a pectoral muscle here. I'm kind of concave in the chest here. Mm-hmm. And then my right kidney doesn't function. And then this.
My cousin, he was born with his fingers were webbed.
Ah.
He was born that way. One of his hands was so webbed that I think he had to lose it, or not lose it, but they
do something about it.
Try to fix it, but it's caused him a lot of stress in his life.
Oh.
He kind of but and also one of his legs too was very underdeveloped. But growing up as kids, this is our cousin.
Yeah.
This is our family, and it was never an issue. The only person to ever seem to have an issue with it was his mom, and the only issue was she's just overprotective. And but us growing up as kids, he's my cousin, and I love him. We all love him. I think that kind of I heard in recent years he was kind of sort of struggling with it, and because I never thought something like that would bother him. But then again, he doesn't have music, or I don't think, as far as I know, when I talked to him last, there's no sense of, I think something like having an outlet like art or music or something like that really helps with just, either him. I feel like if he would have had some kind of direction, that would have helped him in that way. I don't know if that had anything to do with you, but it's cool though. Something like that would not stop you. And then I'm amazed that you could play the way I could have made you play. You could play the way you play.
Thank you, man.
Because you were playing earlier before on my guitar right here. We had this guitar up. I'm like, hey, if you want to play guitar, cool. But you're just fucking around, and I'm like, all right, this motherfucker knows what he's doing.
Yeah, man, I got really lucky, man. As far as and I'll tell you, there was a moment in my life when the light clicked for me, and I kind of just realized how fortunate I was. When I was younger, and I'm talking about maybe second through 5th grade, I was hanging out with, my mother didn't know what to do as a firstborn in a poor Hispanic family. She's like, oh shit, what are my options? She got turned on to the Alamin Shriners. The little shrine, they wear the little fez hats, and they drive the little old men, the Shriners.
Alamin Shriners.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
They drive the little go-karts.
I gotta look at that.
basically what their whole trip is like. To be honest, I haven't really looked into it, but I think they, at surface level, it looks like they just help handicapped children or people who are not fully able. And so they were hooking us up with like from rides to Corpus Christi to Houston, into getting me some kind of like minor surgery and seeing if I wanted a
I see it. Yeah.
seeing if I wanted like a prosthetic hand. And I went through this notion of like being fitted for those guys.
Cool.
Yep. I went through this whole notion of being. I used to have like a little, like it was almost like a thumb. It didn't have any bone, but it was like a skin tag is what they called it. It had like a little fingernail on it. I had that removed, and I was fitted for like a prosthetic arm hand that was good for show. They were like, I was like, okay, so this is cool. What is this for? They're like, if you want to take pictures.
Aesthetic.
Yeah, they really didn't have an answer. It's like, just this is what we do for people if they want it.
Okay.
I was like, okay, so I rolled with that for a while. When they took me to the HQ to get all that done, I'll never forget it. So we're in a van. Uh-oh, I came out.
What happened? Let's see. Are we still getting a signal? I noticed that too.
Hello.
Make sure we're still on target. Hey.
Yeah, look at that.
Whoa. You did hear that though, right?
I did, yeah, something happened. Maybe
that?
like a fan turned off or
Wouldn't
something.
that be amazing if I had an engineer? Let's go ahead. I don't want to do that. Let's try this and then check. I'll edit this part out. How far are we in? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll edit this part out. Let's go ahead and let's try to do this. So this will be the marker. Just so when I'm editing it, I can see it and I know where we're at. That's kind of fucking fun. And we're back. Sorry about that. Little technical problem, bro. Nothing I can handle. This is why I need an engineer, but we all got to start off with baby steps. Anyways, continue what we're saying.
Well, man, so I'll never forget it. They were taking me to the Shriners headquarters to hang out with a bunch of other people in similar situations like myself.
Sorry, one more time. Sorry, my bad. Okay, go. Sorry.
And I'll never forget it. We stop along the way to pick up this little boy. This little boy's name was Luke. Mm-hmm. And I remember stopping at the front of the house, and the two dudes got down. Mm-hmm. They went to the front door. Little Luke comes out in like a walker with like maybe his grandmother, so his older guardian. Mm-hmm. And it's a big thing. I don't even know. It was not. It was a wheelchair because it was the first time I'd seen like a van do this thing. They open the door and then like the ramp comes out.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right.
and it was like it was a thing, and I just remembered that stuck in my mind when we got to the hospital center, and I went through with like my little surgery. I'm in the recovery, and they're like, "Hey, so for the kids, we're showing Tarzan in the movie room, the theater room. You can come watch it with all the other little sick kids."
Right.
And so I'm there. And I'm like looking around, and I just had this like, I don't belong here. Like these people, these kids, they got stuff going on. I'm pretty lucky. Like I can walk, I can move around. I was tying my shoes for crying out loud before I showed up, and I just like had this moment where like, man, I'm taking up space for somebody who could really use this, and just had like this moment where like, I wasn't quite like that, and so I just. At that moment in my life, I was like, "Oh, I'm pretty fortunate. I feel pretty lucky or blessed or whatever you want to call it." And from like an early age, I just kind of had this attitude of like, "Oh, it could always be a whole lot worse than what it is."
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was from that growing up. My grandfather. This is kind of backtrack a little bit. My grandfather was he was in a band and he played the accordion and the guitar for a band called the Morticians.
Ooh, that's a cool name.
That was pretty neat. They were kind of like, they were more Zydeco, I think is what he used to say.
Okay.
French, he called it the French music. But my grandfather was a party animal, man. He had like this slick convertible, drunk drives that slams it into a tree, and they have to take his arm. They amputate his arm.
Oh, shitty.
So I think that was part of like this kind of thing. But Grampy always had a guitar hanging in the, it was a classical guitar hanging in the back room, in the back closet. He couldn't play anymore. And one day I pulled it down. I kind of sat it down. I thought I would use this kind of part to pick. I'm like, oh, this is hard and bony, and I'll use this. And that's what I'll do. And
Develop some callus on it or whatever.
It ended up being this part here. And this part, is all calloused over. And it just, it works. I was able to, hit individual strings. So I went to school. Started like a junior high or whatever. It was me and 2 other guys in this guitar class. Mm-hmm. And they issued you a little Spanish Yamaha guitar. And they taught you how to tune it. And then they're like, this is a chord diagram. This is how you read chords. And that's all I needed.
Wow.
Got lucky enough to, okay, so then what's next? And started looking up rock and roll tabs. And the Nirvana Unplugged was the first, those were the first songs I learned. All those songs front to back. I could play just about every song on that album.
That's fucking cool, man.
Yeah, and little 14, 15-year-old me, like, okay, I think I want an electric guitar now. And got an electric guitar for my 15th birthday. The DS1 was my first pedal. Yeah. Plugged it in. I didn't have a real amp.
That's the classic pedal.
Dude, yeah, I didn't have a real amp. One. I plugged into this karaoke machine that had like a 1/4-inch input jack on it. And it gave me clean sounds with a little bit of reverb.
Yeah, there's going to be some reverb on that bitch.
And that's all I needed.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I got pretty, even to this day, man, I got pretty lucky that I was able to suss it out. And it wasn't until maybe like the last 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years, that I was like, all right, I'm going to take this seriously. And I'm the best one-handed guitar player you ever met. And that's me, right here.
I don't know another one like you. Other than the bass player from Flame Chick Subs, which I don't really know. I don't even think they're a band anymore. I think,
I want to say that I saw Facebook was trying to tell me about them recently, that they're playing here, they're playing there. I wouldn't doubt it though. If they're like
I would not doubt.
COVID.
I would not doubt it if they're taking it easy. This whole COVID shit really fucked shit up for me. But anyways, going back to the ability of the hands and whatnot for the guitar, dude. When we were talking earlier about Roadhouse, the first thing I noticed when I saw Roadhouse was how long Steve Vai's fingers were.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
The Crossroads.
Right, Crossroads. So when I watched that video and I saw how good he was, and of course I knew him just from, I can't remember if I saw Crossroads before David Lee Roth, Eat 'Em and Smile, or I knew that Steve Vai was a musician. I just never knew he was that kind of musician.
Dude, it wasn't until like 3 years ago I found that he used to work for Zappa.
Yeah, he was in Zappa. Yeah, I think he was with UFO for a little bit, or no, Montrose. I think it was with Montrose. I could be getting all this wrong, but anyways, I do know that he played guitar in David Lee Roth's solo project. David Lee Roth on that first album he had called Eat 'Em and Smile, and Steve Vai was there playing guitar, but I hadn't seen him up close doing shit on Roadhouse like I had seen him and I noticed that his fingers were long, and I remember I don't have long fingers like that.
Okay,
I can't really I got like these little sausage fingers.
It's tough.
Yeah, like I got these like sausage fingers. I'm like, can I ever? I don't, and dude, and for a long time, I sort of like put the brakes on any kind of aspirations of being like some crazy badass shredder guitar player like I'd always wanted to be. And that was really unfortunate because I really would see people like Paul Gilbert, and I'm like, well, this is what they all do. And even Hendrix's whole hand wraps around the fucking neck, dude. His whole hand can wrap around the neck. I can't do that. But then you like see like these I saw this like Ozzy video the other day where Ozzy's playing Crazy Train, and he invites I think it's like in Asia somewhere, and he invites like this little kid up there, and this little kid with a hand half the size of my hand, like this.
The guitar's all huge.
Yeah, yes. And he's just like doing all this shit, and I'm like, okay, I have no excuse.
Every time I see that, I'm like, it's so Crazy Train. It's so easy, a child can do it.
Yeah,
that's just like damn.
Yeah, man. So I kind of like started more focusing in on songwriting aspect, and I would just hire guitar players to to come in there and do the shreddy guitar lead. But through the years, though, I've kind of like gotten my confidence, you know, especially when I moved to Austin. I kind of like my confidence build up as a guitar player, and sort of like started focusing more on being a little bit more flashy. So yeah, and I could be flashy on guitar, but I don't ever really think of myself as a good guitar player. There's some bad motherfucking guitar players in this town, dude.
Absolutely.
So, and I'm not even.
Oh,
I wouldn't even play rhythm on a stage with some of these dudes. They're so good. Like Red Bull Carrot. You ever see that guy?
No,
that guy's insane.
But fucking used to be my neighbor.
Oh yeah,
My fucking out of the window neighbor. Like I'd open my front door and his window was open. Yeah, and he's just running fucking scales, and then after that he's playing like Too Young to Fall in Love or something. He was jamming all that kind of shit, and I'm like,
That dude's obsessed with like awesome guitar amps and fireworks. Like
Nice.
I went to his house one time because I was going to AA for a little while. You know, he's sober, and I was going to AA for a little bit, and he was kind of like my homie I would go to AA with. And one day I go into his house, he's got like all like these awesome like MK2 1979 just badass GMP amps and stuff, and just gear just to the ceiling. It's like you walk into like a little tiny guitar center, but an apartment, a 400 square foot apartment, and tons of fireworks, dude. Like so many. I'm like, what are all these? He's like, oh, dude, I love fireworks. I collect fireworks.
they're fun.
Yeah, I hadn't talked to him in a minute. I think towards the end of from like the middle, I think like after the George Floyd stuff, and then like all that. He would call me and he'd be like, hey man, this has been on my mind lately. I don't know what you think about this. And I was like, well, that's like a whole political thing. And yeah, I have my opinion, but I'm more, I just want to focus on the guitar stuff. And I think that's probably because it's just going to make you angry, dude. And unless you want to bring that type of energy into what you're trying to create, then I would say it's cool to have an opinion. It's cool. You know who your friends are. You know who I am, and I think that you're a music teacher, dude, and you teach music. This is what makes you happy. Politics doesn't make anybody happy, as far as I can see. It's either you're happy, or it's either you're angry or you're resentful. And so, I mean, and I was telling him that I'm like, you're a guitar player, dude. This is not your path. I don't think you should go down this path. And next thing you know, I'm seeing videos of him walking downtown calling people Nazis and shit. And I'm like, all right. Well, I mean, you can do that if you want to do that, but I don't really think that's going to make you happy. And I don't know anybody that's made anybody happy.
Yeah, right on.
So
stuff like that.
I mean, and
so far.
Yeah, and I get it. And I understand that. But if you live your life by the guitar, or you're a musician, again, is that the type of energy you want to bring? Is this going to stifle your creativity? Is this going to make you depressed or make you angry? Is it going to change your content? I mean, you got to think about. And he just wasn't. We weren't seeing eye to eye on certain things. I definitely have my own opinions about stuff that I talk to people offline about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But one thing I can say for sure is like I'm not into shitting on anybody. I'm more into respecting everybody and anybody, what they got to do with their life or how they want to live. I'm not trying to get in anybody's way, and I don't want to tell anybody what to do, and I don't want to change anybody's mind. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I think people with different ideas is what makes this world colorful. Not everybody's a nice person. I get that. I've been called fat my whole life. That never stopped me from thinking I'm a good-looking dude, and I could get girls, and I could get on stage. Like, I never let it stop me. It did hurt in elementary and middle school. It did hurt, and I got kicked out of a few schools for fighting, but I stood up for myself. But ultimately, I never really cashed in on that victim card. I'm fat. I don't give a fuck. I do now because I have health issues. Being overweight is not healthy. I'm not trying to say that you could be good looking and overweight. That's fine. It's just not good for me. I'm focusing on my health. But that's my own trip. That's not your trip.
Yeah.
That ain't my wife's trip. That's, if anything, it concerns my son more. You know what I mean? So I just think about things, people and family that are close and dear to me. I just try to keep them safe, and I had a birthday party planned this weekend. I had to, go around and switch that up because there was a COVID concern, and I'm not trying to put anybody at risk. I do care about my friends and family. But, yeah, I guess I tried talking to him a few months ago, and we just were not seeing eye to eye on some things. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm here, man, if ever you want to talk.
Yeah, that happens, man. You kind of you can't expect to be on everyone's level all the time,
Right, yeah. I'm not trying to, like the other day, I was at HEB. I've been vaccinated, and I go to HEB, and I'm not touching everything, and I'm not trying to rub up on anybody. I'm still keeping my distance. I'm still trying to be careful, and I'm still sanitizing my hands and shit, But I saw this guy wearing a hat, and he wasn't wearing a mask, and the hat said, "You wearing that mask makes you look stupid." And I just remember thinking, you're an asshole. Like now you're trying to get people that's just so negative.
To go the extra.
Yeah, just you don't have to do that. And you're trying to be a tough guy, which anybody trying to be a tough guy, that's a sign you're weak. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You can't be peaceful if you're that type of dude. You know what I mean? In my mind, it's like you're asking for it because there's going to be somebody there to counter that. So I always try my best just to respect everybody and everybody's differences, and that's what I tell my son.
Amen to that, man.
Yeah, my son was asking me every time we'd go to Wheatsville, he would ask me about you, and he'd be like, "He doesn't have a hand. What happened?" And I'm like, you know what? Sometimes people are born tall. Sometimes people are born short. Sometimes people are skinny. Sometimes people are fat. Sometimes people are black. Sometimes people are white. Sometimes people are born, they can't hear. That blew his mind.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, people can't hear?" I'm like,
not everybody, yeah.
Yeah. Some people can't see. Some people don't have legs. Some people can't walk. Some people don't have hands. And that's okay because everybody's different. And that's what makes the world great. And he goes, "Oh, I understand." Okay. I'm like, all right, well, that's cool. But understand that we're all different. Okay. Not everybody's going to be like you. And that's important to respect how people are different. And that's what I tell him all the time.
Dude, amen, man. That's some good words to live by. I had to figure that shit out on my own. I never had my father sit down and tell me.
Nobody
like
told me shit. You know who told me that stuff? 7 seconds. Minor Threat.
Yeah, man. You know what? Yeah.
Circle Jerks.
Screeching Weasel.
Punk rock music.
Shit like that, yeah.
Punk rock music gave me my identity. Fugazi. Like listening to very like these types of music that just made me look at myself more and how to be better, because typically the family that I grew up in was kind of like more or less a gang culture. Like I grew up like in a kind of like rough neighborhood where gangs were all the shit, and I have family members that are part of gangs, and I never joined a gang, but I affiliated with a lot of gang activity, and I've done a lot of gang shit growing up. You know what I mean? But
I can relate to that, man. It's like, for some reason, I feel like it's part of that like Chicano culture.
Yeah.
That it's just
like
it's
dude, expected.
My uncles were in that shit, and see people coming and going all the time. It stresses out like my grandmother and stuff like that. And yeah, man, this is real.
Yeah, I never really had anybody there to tell me, but when I found punk rock music, I could honestly say it was bands like Crimp Shrine, it was bands like 15. Even Green Day taught me how to deal with my feelings about being dumped or whatever. Like, oh, I'm not the only person Green Day has been dumped. You know what I mean? And 7 Seconds taught me that, oh, it's not just boys fun. Girls fun too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Bikini Kill, all, Tribe 8, like all like the real hardcore feminist bands like the Riot Girl wave. Kathleen Hanna's whole thing on take on feminism, like really just like those types of that type of music really kind of like all contributed to the person I am today. You know what I mean? So I never really, but I'm glad to share this stuff with my kid. Now I have a chance to go ahead and let him grow up to be not this jerk. You know what I mean?
Amen to that, man. I always kind of told myself, I was just like, I'm not going to grow up to be like my father or whatever.
Dude, I look at myself every day and I think that same shit. Like, I don't want to be like, I wrote a song about it. I'll send it to you. It's, I forgot what it's called, but the song goes, I don't want to be like you. I analyze the things I do for fear of it coming true.
Shit.
Because that's how I felt about my dad. I'm like, you never taught me shit, and I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like. Luckily for me, though, I did have a cool stepdad, and
that's cool. My stepdad wasn't all that great either.
my stepdad was. I lucked out with my stepdad. I think. I don't think my mom did, but I know. I think I did.
Yeah, even more to that. I feel worse for my mother. Poor mama.
Yeah.
But
all these crazy things that happens in our life, I think it makes more interesting people.
Yeah, for sure, man. I definitely have experience. I definitely have. I think a solid understanding of what good character might be, you know what I mean, and how people should be treated. It wasn't all bad. My dad turned me on to rock and roll. Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Metallica, shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
I never would have found that stuff on my own. And I don't blame him either. He was really young. He became a father really young.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's part of life. That's like kind of shit that happens.
Yeah, sometimes it takes
deal with it.
As a man, it's like it's hard to figure out how to, especially if you never had a good man there to kind of teach you and show you. Oh, yeah. I sort of feel like I matured late, like I was like a late bloomer because I didn't have the type of dad that I thought I expected. Like the stepdad that I had was doing more for me as a dad than what I wanted from my real dad. And my real dad, I kept looking at him for answers, but this dude had no answers. You know what I mean? My stepdad had all the answers, but it took me to be an adult to realize later, the reason why I know how to wash the dishes is because of my stepdad. The reason why I know how to do yard work is because of my stepdad. The reason why I did good in math and understand math and weird abstract concepts is because of my stepdad. The reason why I do all this stuff on my own is because of my stepdad.
Right on.
I just didn't realize that shit till you're older, so I kind of feel like a late bloomer in that sense. But I'm trying for my kid. I try to give him a heads up to respect. Every time we went to Wheatsville, he was always excited to see you because he wanted to talk to you about it. I'm like, well, yeah, it's cool. We've already talked about that. We don't need to keep going over it all the time. You know what I mean? Like there's. Right now, he's really interested in finding out where people live on Google Maps. He just understood that. It's like, I found my babysitter. This is where she lives. I'm like, stop being creepy, dude. I'm like, that's creepy. That's weird. One day he got hacked on his iPad, and now he can't use his iPad.
Oh shit!
And when I told him, I'm like, dude, you've been hacked because you added somebody, you shared some information, and now they have control of your iPad, and we can't do anything about it. We can't, or at least that Roblox.
Right, yeah.
And so he thought it was cool because he'd been hearing about how people get hacked on YouTube videos. And he's like, I got hacked? Really? I got hacked? I'm like, yeah, not good.
Not good.
It's not good, dude. So we're still trying to fix that out. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, man. Before we go, I was the questions that I had, and I know that we kind of it's been talking.
Man, it's been great. And this has really been nice.
Yeah, this is totally cool, man. Cheers to that. But I want to ask you though, the music that you're playing now, what would you say is the main influence for that style that you feel like you've gelled into now?
Psychedelics.
Straight
up. Yeah, man. I was a light really went on, and not to just everybody taking psychedelics is cool, blah blah blah, because I've had my handfuls of really introspective eating of psychedelics and turning inward and finding out what it means to be an adult or a man or a person or a lover, all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah.
But I'm also the kind of guy, and I didn't realize that it dawned on me until we played a gig out in Arlington last weekend, and this guy comes up to me and he's like, "Hey man, I heard about you. I heard about your band in Austin. Is it true that you always play your shows tripping out?" And I'm like, "Nah, I've done that a few times." So every once in a while we throw these solstice parties where we're jamming for the homies, or we're out in the ranch, and it's just like, it's not like playing for Stubbs or playing for the Mohawk or something like that. It's just like, these are our friends, and we can just open up and jam or whatever. So I'll eat like a fat eighth of mushrooms or something and go out on stage. Yeah, go out on stage, peeking in the middle, just hardcore peeking, just trying to like. I think it's beautiful, man, because to me, I don't have to think about what to play. I just play it.
It just happens.
Yeah. And it's not always like, don't get me wrong, it's like anxiety inducing and it's stressful. I'm like, holy shit, I'm on stage. I'm in front of a bunch of people, these lights. It's always in front of a fucking light show, too. So it's just like, I can't see anything or anybody. And I turn around and look at my band, and they're all colorful and spotted out. And I'm just like, fuck, all right, let's run through the set or, whatever. And there's times where I'm like, no, let's not play that song. I can't handle it. When we released our first record, it was at one of those Halloween parties. And I was tripping out, man. I was dressed like El Chavalin. I had the CH, the CH. I was in a red suit with the yellow heart, and it said CH.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And I'm fucking to the moon,
That's
man.
amazing.
I'm flying out, and I'm looking out at the crowd, and they're all dressed in costumes like an astronaut and a mermaid and caveman and cops, and it's just like, I remember pulling down the hood and just being like, out of it, man, but like just feeling like the muscle memory take over, and I knew when to sing and what to sing.
Fuck, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I just like, I kind of got a taste for it, and that's just like, I won't do it in town. Like, I'm super careful with how much I drink too. Like, I've had shows where I'm just like too drunk to play, and that's the worst. That's not any good.
That's the worst.
But
it's the funnest sometimes, but that's the worst idea.
Yeah, it's not
that's
good.
The worst. That's not. You don't play better.
Nope.
You don't sound better.
Not even a little bit.
You gas out sooner.
I sure do.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
When the alcohol hits like that, man, it's not good. But I've had some pretty okay experiences, like frying out too, man. I've eaten a couple tabs of acid and just been like gone.
Dude, I took acid one time in my eyes.
Oh, my uncles used to do some
Have
shit
you done
like
that?
I haven't, man, but they tell me stories that are just like blood in their eyes.
Dude, I got like me and my friend Tony in San Jose, we got like this blotter paper, and it was 4-way. This will be 4 hits in one. So we hit for him, hit for me. We just cut it right down the middle, and we just lowered our eyelid and just went gunk, and then the other one gunk. And literally 15 minutes later, I go, "Hey man, are you feeling anything?" And as soon as I turned this way, he just went. Whoop. He's like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Are we almost home?" He's like, "I'm like, yeah." He's like, "We got 4 more blocks, but stop at my friend's house right here. He's got beer. They're having a little party." I was like, I kind of feel like we should probably get home. I'm like, "It's only 3 blocks away." Okay, cool. We go over there. We knock on the door. The dude opens the door with a fucking shotgun. I swear to God, he has a shotgun, and he points it at my friend Tony. And my friend Tony goes, "What are you gonna do? You really gonna shoot me?" And my friend Tony walks up to him, and the fucking barrel of the shotgun is right there in his chest. And my friend Tony goes, "Bunk," and grabs it from him and goes, "Now what are you gonna do?" And I was sitting there going, "Let's fucking go, dude."
Yeah, goddamn, man.
He's like, "Dude, you can't be walking out here pulling out shotguns if you ain't gonna use them." I'm like, Tony's a hardcore dude. All right, cool. We're hanging out here for a bit. Stood there, had 2 beers. By the time the second beer was done, I'm like, "Bro, we gotta get going." And so we both agreed. We went home, and I was straight up, dude. I'm like, we watched Ministry. The video. There was a video.
My drummer really likes Ministry.
Oh, dude, there was a video that Ministry had put out called "In Case You Didn't Feel Like Showing Up."
Cool.
And it's a live video, and it's fucking awesome. And then we watched some other cool, crazy, weirdo movies. And basically, by the end of the night, we had figured out the government. We had figured out how Ted Bundy deserved death. Like, we talked about all this stuff. Man. And then the next day, I was like, "Dude, I think my eyes are melting." And my friend Tony was like, "Dude, do you think our eyes are melting?" Because I feel the same thing. Our eyes were not melting. But yeah, I've fried in the eye a couple of times.
That's pretty wild. I'm more of a, especially these days, if I think like, I have like a day off or something, and I don't have any beer, but I have a couple hits I've been saving. Well, I'll cut a sliver of it. It's like some little gel tab or something. Cut a sliver, throw in a bottle of water.
Yeah.
Shake up the water and just sip on the water all day, and it kind of.
Dude, during that night when we fried in the eye for that first time that night, we got home and there was like this little kid hanging out with us for some reason. Cool. Well, I think at that time, I think I was 16 or 17, and there was a kid hanging out with us who was 15, but he was really tall. But anyways, we're hanging out, and we're just watching movies, and it's about 4 a.m. by this time, 5. And I looked at Tony. I was like, God, I wish we had fucking cigarettes. I would do anything for a fucking cigarette right now. And our friend goes, dude, I have a whole pack right here. Hey. And he pulls it out, dude. And dude, me and Tony laughed probably for half an hour
Lost
straight.
It.
Yeah, we're like, you had it the whole time. This is all we've been wanting all night.
I've definitely been there where it's just like my face hurts. I can't. I've been
smiling
for like 8 hours straight. Yeah, and the part of that is like the beauty of it, man. I'm like, I'm laughing, and I'm like, this is good. This is repairing my body in some way. You know, laughter is the best medicine.
That's what they say. Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh shit, this is great.
Yeah. Well, hell yeah, man. On that note, you got any shows coming up or anything like that? What you got going on?
We are playing. DayEater will be at the Valhalla Bar on August 16th. No, I'm sorry, August 14th at Valhalla with Weaver and Dream Eater, and then we are doing the Hottest Fuck Fest at the Far Out Lounge on August 20th with a shit ton of bands. That's like a 2-day thing.
Oh, dude, the sound at Far Out Lounge is amazing.
Dude, it's awesome. And they hired a really good liquid light show person to do some badass visuals.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big deal. So
people want to find you on Facebook out. Or do people got to find you on Instagram? How do they do that?
Yeah, man, it's DayEater Band at Instagram, Facebook /DayEater. Look us up Spotify, YouTube, Tidal, Dozer. We're on there. You just Google search that shit and you'll find me. I'd love to play you out if I could play a little riffy or two on your beautiful Les Paul.
There you go. We have a guitar set up. This guy's going to show you how to do it. Let's go ahead and take this off and get you going.
How beautiful this thing is.
1976 Gibson custom guitar.
And then that fuzz pedal is just so
Do you like that fuzz? You want me to turn it off or keep it on?
Ooh, I thought it was going to be me.
Oh, no.
I thought it was going to be me the whole time.
Hold on. Let's do that. It's just a MIDI controller. I spilled wine on my MIDI controller. Anyways, continue. I was being swept away by the rock.
I mean, that's about all. Forever, I'm trying to play like. Can't do it.
Wow. I don't even know that much of it.
I saw the back of Eric Johnson's head once. I was like, there he goes.
Dude, I was at Austin Vintage Guitar one time, and he walked in there. He walked in there, and he sold his guitar. Oh, no. He sold an amp. It was a Marshall. I forgot what it was. And he walked out, and all the people that worked there at Austin Vintage Guitar, when it was over there off of South Lamar, they all came out and they're like, dude, these are his settings. And they're like taking pictures of his settings. And they're like, oh my God, he plays it. He's like, he plays it scooped? He plays it scooped, really? And then I was like, well, I like my guitar scooped sometimes. And then they're just like, oh shit, that's fucking crazy, dude. And people were taking pictures of the amp because they were all just so jazzed that Eric Johnson just walked in there and sold an amp or whatever, right?
I like to get excited about stuff.
Let me see here. Oh, this is a... I mean, we all know that shit. This is a cool one I found recently. Or I've seen people play it, but I never knew how it went until I saw a video of it. I said it right there.
Shit, yeah, man.
That's guitar stuff.
That's a gnarly fucking guitar.
That's guitar center shit. You can go into any Guitar Center and hear some motherfucker play that. That doesn't mean I'm good. It just means I learned it. That's all.
You know how to play it?
I know how to play it. All right, brother. Hey, I'm so happy that you came by.
Dude, likewise, man. We were able to spill the wine.
We did spill the wine.
Love it. It's
amazing. I've got a drop left. Thank you for checking that out. And also, I would like for you to, I had some, thought I had some outro music queued. So I guess we'll go ahead and just use one of my older. Ooh, that's a good one. We were supposed to record this song, but we never did. So we were talking about Jay Satellite earlier.
Yeah.
I don't think Jay's heard this. So Jay, this one's for you, buddy. Hopefully it works. All right. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for having me, Mendez.
Jesse over here. Jesse Lee. Enjoy the song.